Wait a minute. What is up, everyone? Welcome to Radio Melee with your hosts, Toph and PPMD. Is that good? How'd that sound?
It was good. It didn't have the voice changer, but it was still good.
Did it not? Hang on a minute. How about now?
Nope.
Really? How about now?
Nope.
Oh, this is me hearing you. Okay, I'll mess with it later.
Okay,
This whole soundboard looking thing. If you saw it, you'd
it's a good A+ for effort.
Thank you, appreciate that, Tyler. What's up, dude? By the way, pleasure to have you on.
Thanks, pleasure to be on.
How you doing?
Doing great. How you guys doing?
Good, man. And if you guys don't know, the guy we have on here today, if you don't know him somehow, you're gonna know him soon. I mean, this is Tyler Swift. Rising Pikachu player, had a lot of big wins lately. Kador and Hungrybox, to name just a couple of players he's beaten, but I'm sure he can give us the full resume should he so choose. And I mean, he's someone that stars frequently on Zain's stream, giving him a lot of really good Pikachu practice. So if you guys want to ask him about Pikachu matchups, maybe particularly Pikachu Marth, I know that's something that we talk about a lot here on the show, or Pikachu's potential, or what does he think of all the Pikachu players? What does he think of Axe? Right, there are all kinds of questions you can bring in here, but you can all do that with exclamation Radio Melee in my chat or Toph's chat. Join the Discord, come into the Submit Topics Here channel, and go from there. But yeah, thank you again for joining us today, Tyler. And yeah, I mean, if I had anything I wanted to ask you first off, I'd be, what's the deal with the tag? It sounds awfully close to Taylor Swift. I hope you're not looking for the the lawsuit. Who's that? Who's that?
I mean, my deepest darkest secret is my name's not actually Tyler.
Oh,
so that's
you're one of those?
Secret
reveal.
Dude, bro, have you ever heard of Chip? There's a Marth player in Washington, and his tag's Chip. For the longest time, we just assumed his name must be Chip. That's a good name. And we found out his name was like, I don't remember what it is. It's like John or some shit. We're like, what?
No, my name is Dan.
Your name's Dan?
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
So yeah, you go to like
call you. What does like Zain call you?
Zain calls me Dan. Most people just say Dan, but I just think it's funny how you look at like so many like Xanadu grand finals. It's like Bobby Big Balls versus Tyler Swift, and it's like Daniel versus Isaac. Those aren't our real names.
Bobby Big Balls, his name isn't Bobby.
You didn't know that?
I've heard that a few times, but that always
it's Isaac. It's so formal for him.
Toph, you okay, man?
Broke your whole world. I'm sorry.
It was just okay, because like for a long time, like I would not call him Bobby, because people are like, Bobby substitute what Bobby did this week, blah blah blah. Bobby did this, whatever, right? And I'm like, dude, to me, Bobby means Bobby Scar. I'm gonna call him Bobby Big Balls or BBB. Okay, you guys can call him Bobby. And I finally warmed up to the idea of maybe calling him Bobby. And now you drop this on me, bro. I feel like my whole like.
I've never heard anyone call him by his actual first name, though. Never. I'm sorry that I doxed it too, Bobby.
Yeah, you left the mother's maiden name out of it. That was kind of you.
I did, yeah.
Oh man. Well, maybe to save ourselves from any more explosive secrets. Actually, no, I still want to know. What is Tyler Swift about before we get
I just really like Taylor Swift. I don't know. It started when I was like in high school. I did like cross country really seriously. And I'm from Long Island, so we had like the state championship was like 9 hours away on the Canadian border all the way up north. So on the ride back, someone brought a speaker. And, like, we didn't get to shower after the meet or anything. So it's just, like, a bunch of, like, sweaty, like, high school track kids. Someone brought a speaker, and we listened to You Belong With Me 68 times in a row. So it just kind of got ingrained there. After that, I was like, Tyler Swift. Hey, that's funny. And, yeah. It's been like that ever since.
So is that a bop? Do you love singing just all her stuff now? Was it fun when you turned 22?
It was. I turned 22 this February. That was a crazy day, but I do like unironically like her music. I listen to all like the girly pop stars.
Okay.
Like I was playing Moki today. I was listening to the new Halsey album.
Okay, respectable. Hey, we like a gamer with taste.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And you know, speaking of taste, we're kind of curious what the taste of the YouTube comments is for the community voice. Last week, Logan asked, "How can we maintain our grassroots spirit while we try to grow the
That's a good
scene?"
question.
So it's a great question. So we're gonna see what everyone had for us. We have two answers here, and we'd be glad to hear everyone's take on it. Looks like Shane Pages is promote local tournaments, VODs and content. You could even have some of the Golden Guardians watch a top 8 from a smaller regional. That's us.
Oh, I'm down.
That'd be pretty cool.
Do you have are there tournaments, dude? I would literally watch it. Like in North Carolina.
Yeah, we had I think we were having some. I think it's a little up in the air right now. I think a lot of it's online still, but yeah, I think as they come back, sure, man. Yeah, you and me, Toph, pro commentate some tourneys. That'd be fun.
Yeah, actually, we had the MDVA summit, and that was on Zain's channel. That was all online, but that was really cool to have it on Zain's channel. Yeah,
cool.
Did you enter that?
I couldn't do singles. I did doubles with Bizin, but I had really bad like school stuff. Was just messing everything up.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I heard there was some hilarious beef in the doubles bracket with was it Lod?
Oh my god.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, because like I think those of us who aren't from MDVA, like I can't see Lod that way. Like he's so polite and professional all the time. But
see, that's what like I
only
also
comes
felt
out in region.
I didn't, because I've never actually like met him before. Because like I'm actually from New York. I just go to school at the University of Maryland, so that's kind of newer around here. And like by the time I showed up here, a lot of the people like Polish moved out. Rishi moved to New York, which is funny. We kind of swapped, and then a lot also moved out. So I didn't really know any of them. And then Lod and Rishi were just like disconnecting, and like Lod's like setup was just messed up, and then everybody was just so mad at each other. And Rishi was like, "It's not Lod," and Bones was like, "It's Lod."
Break this down for PP, because I bet PP doesn't know what you're talking about.
I have no idea.
It was Rishi and Lod against who?
I think it was Bones Juice Box. But the thing is, Lod disconnected with so many people that weekend to begin with that like Bones was already annoyed. He goes, "I'm just gonna take the win if it disconnects." And then Rishi was like, "No." He just thought so, just like no. And then there was just a big argument. And since it's like MDVA people, we're all like friends. So instead of like the TO, I'm gonna call you out, Vintage, coming out and just doing like making a decision, everyone just grabbed the popcorn and just kind of watched it happen. It was pretty entertaining, but it got sorted out in the end, and we all love each other again, so it's okay.
That's cool. I mean, I like that. I like that there's a good community where you guys, really care about each other, but also willing to be, I guess, really upfront about things too. You don't sugarcoat.
Yeah. That's really funny. I mean, it's funny too, just because Rishi and Lod are like they're like such a good team. It's funny that they're still, it doesn't matter how good you get. You're always gonna have to deal with some net play bullshit at some point.
Just your setup just not working, your internet's bad. It's just oh my god, so frustrating.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, do you guys think that answer works? Like, as we grow, if we support and plug and everything, local content, people that aren't maybe, I guess, corporately sponsored or something. Do you think that helps us with that, or does that, I guess, make the people that we're trying to support then become more that way because we're connecting with them? I'm kind of curious what you guys think.
I think it's just good to just support everybody everywhere. Like as small like content creation or skill you have in Melee, I think it's just good. You just gotta support everybody. I mean, it's just like the game wouldn't be here without all the people that go O2 or like those people that like make a combo video that gets like 20 views. Like like everyone starts somewhere. Just keep doing your thing. We were all there. I was there.
I really like retweeting those like combo videos. Like when people got like those like yeah, first of all, I mean, this kind of ties into last week we were talking about combo videos in general and how like they had a bit of a, they definitely had a renaissance in the early days, like many years ago, and then there was a period where they weren't really no one was putting out combo videos. And so nowadays, when people put out combos, especially if it's someone I haven't really heard of or I don't know too well, I love retweeting those because I'm like, dude, I want this player to get their shine,
Yeah, it's super sick. I love combo videos. One of my close friends, his tag is Justice. He makes a lot of combo videos. He made me one. recently that I haven't released yet because he's gonna make it into like a full like really long combo video with like a ton of different players in it. But yeah, he's super good at that stuff, and like Bobby is also really good at that stuff. I love combo videos; they're super sick.
Yeah, Bobby's he's some sort of combo video fanatic. I don't know.
Yeah, that guy he'll just jump the top platform, wait there, and then he'll come down and do the craziest thing you've ever seen.
It's bizarre.
It's hilarious. Yeah,
it's really a one of a kind player.
Yeah, that's what I like got good playing against. Like I was this new little kid and I just see Bobby beat. That was like my guy to beat, so
really.
I know a lot about Bobby.
I think, with the whole Melee's grassroots thing, man, I think, propping up your local scene, propping up your local TO is super important. And I even think I think this is like you've even more of an opportunity to do this when you're like bigger. Like I remember back in the day when Mango was sub goal, like go to SSS and commentate or whatever, or go to Mayhem and commentate, and like he'd go to his local and like that was like big. I mean, SoCal already was like a pretty big region at the time, but I think it was really cool that he did stuff like that. And then these days you're seeing like, Axe is always talking about going to his locals, and Axe is playing, he's going to his weekly every week. You've got like I mean, I don't know if Zain has been coming out lately, but like before COVID, certainly. I think Zain's been, last I talked to him, he's feeling a little bit weird about the Delta variant. But before, he was talking about, I remember at Canada Cup in 2018, 2019, and he like was on Sunday, he was talking about, tomorrow, I'm flying home and I'm going to go to the cave. I was like,
he'd be there a lot pre-COVID.
Yeah. And post major, he would literally like go to the cave like right after. He's like, I got to beat Bobby with Fox. I got to go. I don't, it's always on to the next. I got to beat Bobby with Fox.
Gotta beat Bobby with Fox. And it's like, I just checked the cave bracket because like, who is Johnny Sins? Why do you beat Bobby?
Is it Zain?
Yeah, it's Zain's Fox.
Jesus Christ. That's really funny.
On to the next community voice response before we get caught up in that.
Yeah.
Toph, you want to read this one?
Yeah. Let me make it bigger because the text is small. There we go. I think having more organized and promoted events that aren't strictly tournaments would be good way to maintain that grassroots feel that Melee has. I feel like Golden Guard is doing the right thing by having events like Octagon. I feel more events of a similar nature would be huge. That is a good take. I really, I mean, okay, first of all, with Golden Guard is like when I signed, like when I was thinking about like, joining Golden Guardians, I was really impressed with kind of the vision. I talked to Hunter a lot about kind of like, what are we going to be doing beyond just like, okay, we're flying our players out to tournaments. And, when you look at a lot of other gaming scenes that are big, like I think it's important to have those types of things. I think one thing, I've always thought that like what Melee has is we have a really colorful cast of personalities. Yeah. Like in contrast to like a lot of other esports, like I just feel like we got some kooky dudes in Melee. So I feel like the more we can highlight our kooky dudes, the better. And it's going to like make things feel a little more personal. It all ties back to like, it's like I always praise Homemade Waffles and Phil when I used to listen to their commentary back in the day. I felt like I was at the venue with them. I was at the tournament with them, even though I wasn't. I was literally watching on YouTube, right? But that's how their commentary made me feel. And so via, commentary, but also via YouTube videos, via, I don't know, streams, and interesting events, right? I think there's a lot of ways you can make the viewer feel like they're part of a bigger thing, which will make people want to go to IRL tournaments and hang out and connect with their local community and stuff like that. So it's kind of like this big interweaving, you know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. And
I feel about it.
Yeah. And I think following up on that, I guess, a concern with this response is, we organize and make bigger events, and then that makes us less grassroots. And I think that's something that a lot of people could think. But this person specifically called out Octagon. And so I think back to that, and I think how we had fun with it, how we changed the format, how we had surprise events. And I think, and like Toph said, I think that lets us highlight our personality more. It lets us keep from having to stick too much to a script or a certain way to act. And I think, that's something that is unique about us, like Toph is saying. And so highlighting that, being okay with changing the mold, being okay with doing things differently is going to be really important for us because we are a different community than, League or Dota or whatever. And I think highlighting that is going to be key, and that includes in our events. So that's a really good point. I like that answer.
Also,
Dude,
something.
go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Something I really
go
liked
first.
about the Octagon is that like, since like I'm a competitor and I like want to enter stuff, if there's like a major happening, it's like, oh, I gotta enter, and if I don't enter, I can enjoy it and watch it. But there's also that like oh, I should have entered that, you know. But with the Octagon, it's just like, oh, like I could just enjoy this, like, you know, like I don't gotta like have this stress of competing and then I can enjoy it. Like, no, like I can literally just like watch like top level melee and just like really just relax and just really enjoy it.
That's a good point. There was a tournament. I remember this exact feeling when it was one of the tournaments where it was Mango Armada finals. It was a NorCal tournament. It might have been like I'm Not Yelling or something, but I remember thinking it was cool because I wasn't commentating the top 8 and I was just hanging out in the crowd. And I was sitting in the crowd, I was like, and just watching Mango Armada, I was like, I missed this.
Yeah, you can really just enjoy it in a different way.
I just want to be a noob and watch Mango Armada, you know, alongside all my fellow noobs and yell and get loud, and you know, it was great. Dude, PP, you know, you bring up you know, the Octagon about this and how it's important to have fun, and that's what really distinguishes it. You know what's crazy? I think this was lost in translation somewhere. I think people don't think about it this way anymore. You know, when the first Smash Summits kind of happened, and when I was kind of when Beyond the Summit first came into Smash, they started putting on the Summit events. I remember hearing the idea for the tournament, and it's like, you know, a bunch of top players in a house, and there's a tournament, and it's very serious, but we also have these like fun side events, and we have these like skits, and I think these days there's a lot of prestige in Summit, and people take it very, very seriously. But if you remember kind of the early iterations of Smash Summit, like they were kind of like, you know, they were very big on like, you know, having fun and well, all the stuff you just said.
Right, and also the players were new to it, right? They weren't used to going somewhere and having this sort of thing, and all the players also wanted to play Mafia, and now they're kind of over it. But that was after like, you know, years of it. Huh?
Who's over it?
I don't know. That's what I hear. I hear that it's harder to get a lot of the melee players.
No, you're talking to the wrong people.
So you're telling me that everyone there is just like, yep, I want to play again.
I would say that there's definitely I'd say there's a contingent of people that always want to play, and then there's a contingent of people that don't want to play, and then there's a contingent of people that like they don't want to play, but they always play.
Okay, sure. Tyler Swift, what camp are you in on Mafia? Just curious. Considering your future Summit campaign here, by the way. No pressure.
Actually, I'm running for the next Summit, but
there we go.
I'm not. I mean, I might play once, but I'm not the biggest mob. I would just rather just play more melee.
All right, well there you have it. You know, but I mean, you know, this guy's grinding. He's getting.
No one's gonna vote me in now. God damn it!
Nah, here's the thing, man. You're getting results. You're gonna, you know, that's the way you're gonna go in. And some players have that, and you know, I think that's fine. Just, you know, see what you can advertise for your skit potential.
Well,
There's always that route.
Yeah, I mean, I have a good amount of ideas. I think I got a good chance, and the results are like the big stuff. I've just been doing really good lately. All my friends are telling me to like run, and I don't know, like why not? It's like literally would be like a dream come true of mine. Not to sound cliche or anything, but like it would.
Yeah, I mean, this is the earliest that anyone has ever started campaigning for Summit in my memory. So this is a momentous occasion here.
I'm not like campaign. I mean, I'm gonna do it. Whatever.
The earliest I ever, I think that title actually goes to Triff, because I remember Triff went to Summit and he came home, and the week after, whatever Summit it was, 7 or 8 or whatever, he came home and he started using the hashtag Triff for Summit.
I remember that. Such a great.
He's all right. Trip for Summit. I gotta go back. So Trip for Summit. I was like, damn, bro, you could take a week off. Jesus.
Okay. That shit was funny. I feel like second on that is pretty good.
Yeah. Second to that's not bad. Second to that's not bad.
But it's still really early. Good to put your name out there. And hopefully, you know, we can get some questions that can also help you with that. So again, Exclamation Radio Melee and mine and Toph's chat. Come on in. Ask your questions, and I think we are ready to take our first one.
Yeah, we got some good ones lined up already. So
cool.
I think we got our first caller, Wolven. Where are you calling in from? What's up, Wolven?
Yo, what's up? I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
Cool. What's
are
your
you
question
Wolven Storm?
That's
Is that you? Oh, dude, what's up, dude? This guy's in Twitch chat pretty often.
Nice.
Yeah, what's popping?
What's up, dude?
So I got a question. With the rise of the Goomwave, I'm curious what your opinion is. Do you think it's like an unfair advantage? I've seen, I've been on Twitter lately, and there's been like all the macros you can do with it, changing your notches and pods, and like I've seen multiple like pivot up tilt exhibitions. I knew that was like previously thought to be like basically impossible. Do you think it's like people will even be able to compete at a high level without a Goomwave now?
Good question. Very timely
good question.
question.
Does the Goomwave actually help with pivot up tilt?
It does. Yeah.
How does that work?
It's just easier to do, honestly. Like I've seen like clips of people just doing it like consistently, like over and over again. I don't know exactly how it works, but I heard it's pretty easy.
There are macros built into the controller where you can adjust your pods and your notching and like all sorts of different things within the controller that allows you to do this stuff that you previously weren't able to.
But like specifically, I guess.
Okay. I mean, there's.
Do we know what
a macro, for example, if you like hold L and hit start, that's like the Xpod toggle. So like 1 rumble equals Xpod pivot up tilt down tilt toggle, and then 2 rumbles is the pivot.
Well, so that's not really a macro, right? You can adjust how much pod there is, but when I think macro, I think you're pressing this button and you're getting a button combination of more than one button. So like even without a Goomwave, I mean, if you want to call that a macro, like I have a capacitor in my controller, so I can, I can always just adjust like how much capacitance I have to like deal with snapback, or if I want to like make my controller a little bit better at dashing versus a little bit better at pivoting, like I could just do that. But I wouldn't really call that a macro. You know what I mean?
I guess it just makes it easier to be able to get the adjustments required in order to be able to perform it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my understanding of it was you would also be able to get 1.0 cardinal dashes and
1.0 cardinal dashes.
And basically, I feel like this closes the gap between GameCube controllers and box controllers in a lot of ways, I think, from my understanding. Except for the SDI from the frame one. Again, this is from my understanding. And so, but the question is, does this lock people out of higher level play? So, I mean, I guess there are two questions, like what exactly it does, and I'm still trying to understand all of that. I asked for a Goomwave myself because I wanted to understand it better and also, talk about it more, because I think it's a very important question that's evolving for us. But, yeah, I mean, given that so what I'd like is for everyone to have a Goomwave. If it is, if it's going to make, if it's going to make our standardized controller process easier, that's going to be better for us, as long as we can make that, reasonably affordable. Because I also don't want to price people out, which is one concern. The higher price barriers we have, the less people we can have getting into the game, or at least getting into it in a more competitive fashion, which I don't want. Because, for example, I did some coaching today, and if I had to tell someone to do something that I could only do with my Goomwave, and then they weren't able to do that, then that creates a problem, and there's frustration for that person. So I don't want that. But I think still, even with a lot of that, I mean, I think there are still things like UCF and other things that we have that still you don't have to pay for, that still make things a lot more accessible and easier for players. And hopefully, when the Panda controllers come out, I think that'll help with prices and make it easier. And so my thought is, even if you don't have something like that, as long as you have a controller that's decent, I don't think it's going to really be a detriment to your skill because of things like UCF until, maybe a little outside of top 100, but somewhere around there, we'll say anyway. And so, but at that point, you're quite a serious player and you're willing to make more of an investment in the game because you've made such a big one already. So I think that's okay. And I am cautious about, because we can extend that argument too far for things, but because it's something we're trying to make for everyone, because I think the Goomwave is going to be part of the Panda controller, I think it can be okay. So that's my tentative stance, but I need to understand more about it. That's where I'm at anyway.
I always felt like, I come from back in the day when, people talk about, damn, you got to spend $300 on a controller or whatever. I remember spending $300 on eBay for 10 controllers, going to this dude's house. And this guy actually said, because apparently this happened to him before, and the guy's like, are you like a Smash player or something? I was like, I am a Smash player. Trying all those controllers out, hoping for one good one, all of them being dog shit terrible. And
that's then, much worse.
It's much worse. So, for me, dude, people used to play what we called the controller lottery, and I'm just like, dude, I just want to be over that. Like, because the best players are gonna like try to find a controller that's good. And to my knowledge, and having used a Goomwave, there's nothing on it that ultimately sets it beyond what the best factory controller can do. Yeah, you can like tweak things with like changing the sensitivity on things, changing the POD, et cetera, changing the notches. But like those are still all things, except maybe 1.0 dashing. But I think there's even controllers that have 1.0 dash if you like widen the. So I don't know. Point being, I guess to me, there's nothing that feels super broken. I also don't think it's like better than the box of the frame one. So for me, I'm kind of like, look, until I literally see you can push this button and it does a multi-shine input for you, I'm cool with it. That's where I'm at.
Yeah,
yeah, I'll speak on it because I use a box.
Oh, right, that's a good point. I
Use
just brought that up earlier.
Yeah. So what's it called? I think the Goomwave, it's just like, I mean, people are gonna hate me, but I think Goomwave is just better than the box, except for the fact that like it hurts your hand. I think the main benefits of the box are that you like my hand rests like this, you know? So I have my fingers on like every button. So I'm playing claw essentially, and that's a lot of the stuff that people are like, "Oh, box is broken." It's like, well, really, I'm just playing claw, which lets me get my aerials out really fast or like be more precise. But yeah, I don't think box is broken. I don't think Goomwave is broken, and my ideology is if it allows like controllers just to be like easier to get, maybe not like cheaper, but like easier. Like, okay, I know what I'm getting, I know what I'm investing in. This is gonna be a good controller. It's gonna last me a while. And for boxes, it's like, oh, my hands are like destroyed. Like my hands are really bad. Like I cannot play on a GameCube controller. So I think we should just like, those are the things that are more important than just being like setting some arbitrary like, oh, you SDI too much, or like, oh, you have fast aerials too much. It's like, I think we should just prioritize the game evolving and like accessibility to everyone rather than just like, oh, the sanctity of the game, I guess.
Right.
Okay. I mean, I guess
like, we already messed with the game with UCF for that matter, you know. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, my only concern with SDI too much is you start breaking a lot of things, and I just am worried about how if people can really adjust to that well, or if there's any counterplay, basically. And that's my only concern with that.
There is, and I've thought about this a lot. I mean, I play Pikachu. It's like very SDI heavy character on a box. And the thing is, it's like certain stuff is like, a lot of stuff's like a lot more consistent because it's like, okay, like I tap, like I tap twice and then I get like 2 SDI inputs, you know? But the thing is, it's easier to be a little bit more consistent. But you can't get like the crazy, like the Wizrobe, like wank SDI. So that's a lot harder. Like I've never seen anybody do something egregious like that. The main thing is it's like more consistent. Which it's like, yeah, it's kind of dumb. It's pretty dumb at times. It is. But I think again, like there's no real good way to like nerf that on the box without just completely changing the controller. So I think it should. I don't know. I think it's fine for the most part.
Sure, and I mean, my concern was not with the box; it was with the frame one, because I understand that the box was actually modified due to some SDI concerns. That's why I don't lump the box in with that. That's why I specifically worried about SDI. I'm talking about frame one, and if that changes, then I think box was also changed because there were things that are now on the Goomwave that the box could do. So we might actually have to go back and buff some of the box to make it even out, right? I think
sorry to interrupt, but
Goomwave was stronger, so we could bring that back in line. I think there are conversations like that could happen for us.
Like the biggest one that I want, I think it's ridiculous how hard it is, but dashback at a crouch on box is really difficult. Like it's difficult on it's more difficult than most controllers I've done it on. Like
what do you have to do? Why isn't it just down and then back?
You have to like let go of like down and then press back like within, I don't know exactly. I've heard Zuppy tell me like it's like a frame input. It feels like you have like a 1 or 2 frame window to let go and press the other one. Don't quote me on that, but like it's difficult. Like, and then I think on the Smashbox, like the hitbox one, I think you could literally just press down and left and
down and then back, right?
Yeah,
dude. So this is like, this ties to this overall theme of like something I've noticed just over the years. Okay, I think that the potential to do techniques on like the vanilla game, like, okay, dude, for example, right? Like Zoo the other week posted a video of him literally just consistently doing pivot down tilts, which are a technique that there's like an angle where you can do it. And once you learn this, you can consistently pivot down tilt on a GameCube controller, you like not on a box or whatever, or a frame one. And I've just noticed that like a lot of people, like, there's this very almost reactionary, like, oh, this crazy new technique that this player's doing, it must be because they're using some crazy controller.
Yeah.
I remember, dude, I
get
so
that all
many people,
time.
bro, on Smash Ladder back then, on
Oh my
Anthers,
God.
I'd play people, and they'd be like, bro, are you in a box? And because I would do Shine Out of Shield, like...
Yeah, oh my god, it's so annoying.
I just practice.
I practice more tech skill. Like, even on controller, I was super fast. Like, I practice my tech skill every day. And now I do that with box. And I'll be like, oh no, you're just doing that. You're just hitting all that stuff because you're on box. Like, no! I just sit in my room and I just sit there. I'm typing away. I'm practicing, like, actually Shine, second hit up throw up air on Puff, just, like, all day. Like, I don't have a life.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just felt like a lot of people, not that I don't think they were trying to discredit you.
No, they just don't understand. And there's just so much misinformation. Like, I hit AMSA
so much
tech.
misinformation.
Like, I hit an AMSA tech, and people are like, yo, that's box. Like, that's literally, like, a timing thing. That's hitting, like...
It's literally down and C-stick, yeah.
It's like, I don't understand how that's like... It's just, like, I don't know. Like, it's... The stuff that, like, people will say... It is very reactionary. Like, when I didn't have a box, I was like, oh, I guess, yeah, that sounds broken. But now that I'm playing on it and I hear someone say something like empty pivot stuff, like, empty pivots are, like, kind of hard on box. Like, I think they're easier on controller.
Really?
Like, yeah, like, just empty pivoting, like, that's 10 times easier on controller for me personally. And I think a lot of box players would agree with that. And then I saw this one Marth just do this, like, empty pivots, like, 3 in a row, and I was like, that was crazy. And then someone's like, he's on a cheater controller. I'm like, no, he's crazy. So it's like...
Probably just on a gaming controller, honestly.
Yeah, it's
I don't know.
I don't know. People are just so reactionary with so much stuff. It's just like... I just want to play without my hands falling off.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone is saying get rid of boxes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think we're kind of talking about two different things, just to kind of wrap up, like, anything I have to say about it. We're talking about, is it okay for everyone? And I think the answer is yes, because we need that, because we don't want to play the controller lottery. And I think the other question is what does this do for high level? And I think that is a question we're still kind of answering. And that's something that, I was responding to Tyler a little bit earlier about where there was some SDI talk, and so maybe we buff the box back talk and stuff like that. So I think there is a discussion that needs to start about that, but I'm not sure. But I think generally it's probably a good thing that this exists, and I think it encourages good conversation. And so that's where I'm at with it. And I don't know how.
And I'm really big on like I have a video on my YouTube too talking about, like, I made a video. It's like an hour-long video. It's like everything I know about controllers. And I just, like, want people to, like, flip out less and, like, know what they're complaining, like, know what, you know what I mean? Know what they're complaining about before they complain. So
before they go onto Twitter and just like, this is stupid. And it's just like, well, you don't know how it works. Like, you're just wrong. Like, I saw, like, what's it called? I forgot which TO did this. There's some SoCal TO. He was like, yeah, like, I'm banning the box for, like, this.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
I remember that. Yeah. And I don't want to call him out. Like, it's just, he just didn't understand it. But he, like, cited something. He's like, yeah, the SDI is broken because if you do, like, this, and this, like, you can get these crazy SDI. And I looked at it, and I'm just like, I've never seen anybody do that. That is, like, 3 frame-perfect inputs in a row. And if I sat down and tried to do that, I would not get it for, like, a while. Like, that's how, like, that's how, like, ridiculous it was. Like, from my perspective, I was like, what is, like... And then he, like, took it down, but I don't know, it's just too much false information, and it's really annoying, because people just think they know everything about something that they've literally never held before. So...
Yeah, there needs to be a good discussion about that going forward. And it sounds like, you're gonna help be an ambassador for that, because, I mean... Like,
I will. I've gotten...
box players.
Yeah, I've gotten enough, not hate, but, like, flack from people for, like, oh, you're on the cheater controller.
Sure.
Like, you buy one too.
I don't know. I've never, I've never thought like they were problematic. I think for me, like if there was ever going to be a line, it would be at stuff like, again, actual macros. Like this is going to be and I think that I think we would have that conversation when we got there. I think that like, this has happened even in the FGC. There's been drama, not drama, but there's been instances where people would have these, like hitbox style controllers where there would actually be something that was like ridiculous about them. Like way back in the day, I remember the first time this ever happened when hitboxes came out, you could hold left and right at the same time because they didn't have what was called SOCDs, where it was like you could literally hold both directions, and even if they tried to cross you up, you'd be basically blocking in both directions. And that was something where it was like, all right, that's too strong. And then they actually had to nerf it. And I think that we are better equipped to have these sorts of conversations than ever before. But those conversations can't start unless everybody's approaching them in good faith and everybody's actually trying to understand on a technical level what's actually going on here. And the thing that I wonder is like who is our governing body right now? Who makes these decisions anymore? Is it Blur?
I don't know. I think it's just the Crimson Blur.
Yeah, we gotta. That's something else that we have to figure out how to do. How are we going to implement things? But
I think it should be me and you. I think me and you should be the new governing body.
Yeah. We just switched Radio Melee.
Radio governing body.
We've laid down the law here.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we've laid down our law on the Goomwave. So there's that.
Good question.
For the question. Hopefully we're able to answer that decently well.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity to ask that. Just to be clear, I am pro Goomwave. I think everybody should be able to use should be able to do all the techniques that are available to us in the game. I just hope the price point goes down a little bit at some point.
Sure.
And I want to actually, I'll just comment on that real quick. Part of the reason I am in full support of like the Goomwave and stuff is like when I talked to Goomy about it, it seemed like the goal was basically to get it down to where it's just really accessible and kind of anyone can get it and it's easy to install or easy to and certainly cheaper than back in the day. If you wanted a really good controller, you'd buy like a shitload of controllers off eBay and just kind of pray. So I think anything beats that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, Wolven. You got any shout outs for us on your way out today?
Shout out to you guys. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We often don't get shout outs on the way out, but we'll take those.
30
Have a
seconds,
good one.
1 sec.
Oh yeah. Tyler's now that Tyler said 30 seconds and I just noticed that he does have it's funny because I talked to OKP who had a bunch of Pikachu merch behind him. I think Axe on his stream setup's got a lot of Pikachu merch. I think it's surprising that Tyler Swift has a big ol' fox with sides on it. That's not very Pikachu-ish, although his fox is nasty.
He goes fox for Puff because he said forget that, which is fair.
I mean, he beat H-Box in a set. That's
true.
It's pretty good. That's like not. It's you can't really argue with that. I think we're almost ready to have our next caller. I guess we can bring him on. What is up? How you doing, Cnut? Where are you calling in from?
I'm in Montana right now, but I'm from Minnesota initially. So yeah.
Cool.
Shout outs to Montana and Minnesota.
What's your question for us today, Cnut?
My main question is oh wait 1 second. My main sorry. Had to let my remain in. My question is about rule sets because I know we're just getting off of Slippy, so everyone's been playing online. Everyone's very used to Frozen Stadium and stuff. And a big thing I noticed coming back, Summit was the main first one that I noticed. They ran Frozen Stadium, and actually Hold That L ran what was it? They ran Frozen Pokemon as a starter, and then FD as a counter pick. And I'm just kind of wondering, what's going on with that, with rule set stuff. I know, I'll put it this way. I think, like right now, because there's probably no top 100 this year, great time to experiment with like rule sets and stuff, like, different timers and all that. But when it rolls around to hopefully, God, I hope next year, and we have to have a standardized rule set, I don't know if we're going to have one yet. And I'm wondering how we value like tournament placings for PR, because we're even having that issue like in Minnesota right now, because like the Twin Cities have their own rule set, and then not everybody else follows that. Because like where I'm from, we still play wobbling and on Frozen Stadium, and I know that's not like we had a big thing with the not a big thing, but little thing with the like MN backroom, so to say, about like is this going to count because we have different rules. So I was wondering like How are we gonna do? Yeah.
Okay. So it
Yeah.
sounds like your question, because you mentioned a couple of things. It sounds like your question is basically like, is this a good time to experiment with rules because
Well, I think.
there isn't. Go ahead.
Oh, I think now is a great time to experiment with rules. I'm just worried about next year when we have a standardized rule set. It's like because I don't know if we are even going to have a standardized rule set. How do we evaluate player performance based on rule set? Because I don't know. Let's say like Ice Climbers players only show up to like the 2 tournaments where wobbling is legal. Like how do we rank them on the top 100? Right? Because that's kind of hard. That's my question.
Huh. Yeah, I've never thought about it like that because normally what I think is I want TOs to be able to experiment. I want TOs to be able to figure out what rule set they like or try things for their community and see what feels good for them so we can have this conversation on a local level. It can bubble up to a national level. That's how we often were deciding things in the past, and things have often become more standardized. But it sounds like, I guess the downside of that is when you're still trying to rank people, and your rule sets can be very different. I guess wobbling and I guess Frozen Stadium are the 2 big ones. That gets a lot harder, especially if I guess the main thing is you need crossover. You need to see how people can do under, I guess, some of the varying rule sets, I guess would be part of it. Because at a national level, I don't really know how we're going to get away with Frozen Stadium because Nintendo, which is, that makes the decision for us pretty much. I don't think we can get away with Frozen Stadium. I guess we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. But for a more local level, it's a hard question. I'm kind of curious what you guys think about it.
Frozen Stadium?
Well, the question seems to be something like, I mean, it's just it's Frozen Stadium and wobbling together. I guess are the 2, but it's more like how do you rank? We'll just say locally or within state if your rule sets are different locally or within state.
Right. Okay. So first of all, Cnut, what character do you play?
I play Samus. It does not. I mean, the wobbling thing kind of affects me. Frozen Stadium, don't really care. My stance on wobbling is only I had like 2 or 3 friends that like stopped playing the game because wobbling's banned, so I'm a little partial because of that. But I totally get why it was banned. Yeah,
this was something. I mean, it's good that you bring this up. This is something when we had Army on the reads a while back, and this was right around the time wobbling got banned, and Army was like, I mean, we talked about a lot of things, but one of the things he said was like, dude, I don't even know how to practice right now because I don't know if I should be practicing as if wobbling's going to be banned forever, or if I should be, because there's some tournaments that are banning it and some tournaments that aren't. And if you're an Ice Climbers player, that seems extremely confusing, right? It's like, well, I just like don't know, literally, what should I be focusing on when I play? It's very, I think, confusing and disorienting when you're playing a tournament set and you're not sure. I'll even give you a good example of this. I remember I played a tournament set when I went to Air 5 against a Jigglypuff player, and we're playing on PAL. Okay, this was a PAL tournament, and I already told myself going into this tournament I wasn't going to take it that seriously. And it was game 3, and I up smashed him at like 100 on Dreamland, and he like lived, and I was like, and in my head, maybe this is me not being a great competitor, but in my head I was like, okay, well, I won the set. Like, if you played me in America, I won. So, like, and I don't know. It's like whatever. It was a round robin pool. There was like 8 people. I don't think I needed to even win the set or whatever. I was kind of like, I don't know. It really like kind of took the edge off in a weird way because like I couldn't take it as seriously, if that makes sense. Because I was like, whatever. It's like I felt like I was, it was like this is weird. Like I feel like this almost shouldn't count in a weird way, or at least for me personally, it doesn't count. And I can imagine an Ice Climbers player going to a tournament where, like, if you've got tournaments where wobbling's bad and tournaments where wobbling isn't bad, I can see an Ice Climbers player getting a grab on the last stock and being like, well, if this was one of the tournaments where wobbling was legal, that would be a win. So, yeah, I think we should standardize a rule set. I do think now is a good time to do it. Now is a great time to experiment with rules as we're getting back into tournaments. I don't have a strong opinion on Frozen Stadium. Me personally, I mean, I like the transformations. I think they're dope. But then people yell at me, they're like Dirty Fox player, all this stuff. So I can't say that too much.
Are dope.
You say that again?
I also think transformations are dope. It's
Thank you. I think they're fun. Hot take. If you want me to go full hot take mode, I think they encourage outplaying your opponent. I actually think that
you think that Fox on the Rock outplays his opponent.
Yes.
I like a
not
two-hour
just-
conversation.
I do
Every
not
character.
agree with that.
Yeah,
Every
I'm with
character.
you.
Okay.
No, every
Uh,
character. I think that besides the infinites, wait, the infinites are stupid. Everything besides the infinites are interesting.
I guess Peach getting free turnips is kind of weird too, but it's like it's 30 seconds. Like, it's not too bad.
I don't know. It's not that bad.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. It's not that bad.
I just use Thunder Jolt and it just goes across the wall.
I love when they do that.
You just sit there and just wait for it to all go away.
I'll give you that the infinites are BS, yeah. But I think the neutral's fun.
I imagine so. Tyler Swift, what are you thinking, man? How you feel about the question posed here?
We had something similar in MDVA where we were one of the first regions to ban wobbling, so we had it banned everywhere, and then Xanadu would like never listen to us, so they wouldn't have it banned. They were like, we'll ban it, and then they just took forever to ban it, and they didn't ban it until like super, super late. So I don't even know how, because I'm on the PR panel, we didn't even like make much of a distinction, honestly, as to if you're losing because of wobbling or not, just because it really it didn't affect our results enough. Like, we had like one PR Ices player now, his tag is Frostbite, and he's really good without wobbling. So like during that time, he was literally like wobbling was banned at the cave and like our regionals, but it wasn't at Xanadu. He would go to Xanadu and like not wobble. So like, I mean, that's one way to go about it if you're an Ices main, but yeah, I don't know. I think we should just move over to like Frozen Stadium, and I don't know how I really feel about I think banning FD is pretty extreme, but
I agree.
yeah, like FD counterpick and Frozen Stadium starter, and then like keep wobbling banned, and then that's like, okay.
I can't believe people want to ban FD.
Yeah, that's like oh my god, it's just, I don't know. I like mix it, like it's a terrible stage in its own right, but like it's still a stage. Like we don't have much to begin with.
Yeah, we don't. If we had a bigger rule set, I'd be down. But
yeah, like if we had more stages, like I would be down to ban FD. But like
we just need Melee HD. We need Melee. We need Nintendo to like just have some sort of
we just need
massive overhaul.
That's what we need Nintendo, man.
Yeah, whatever. It's fine.
Shout outs to P+.
I don't think our current rule set is that bad. I think our current
I
rule
think
set's
it's fine. I'm
fine
fine with it. I don't really want to change it unless it's just like turning off transformations.
You know what I would like? I want a visualization. So because I'm pretty sure this might be like one of the longest stretches the Melee community has gone without having to change our rule set. Because I mean, back in the day, like 2000, I don't know, 8 through like 12 or so, there were pretty massive rule set changes often. Like there were always stages that were being removed from the rule set. I mean, remember we used to play on crazy stages, right? And like it's like, okay, this tournament looks like now the only counterpick stages are Congo Jungle and Pokemon Stadium. And then at some point Congo Jungle got taken off and there was only Pokemon Stadium. And then we went a really long time without changing the stage rules. And then the only other thing we really changed, if you want to, like, on a practical level, was, I guess, wobbling stuff. But I'm pretty sure this might be the longest we've ever really gone without making a fundamental big change to our rule set. I'd be curious, like, how long it's been since the last major rule set change.
I mean, and 2012, because that's when Cactuar just pretty much ran it through the MBR back on Smash boards.
Yeah,
and then
I
we
guess so. 2013 with
then,
wobbling.
Yeah, 2013. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good sign, though. Like
That's
that just means that just means our rule set's just good. Like it doesn't really need tweaking, I don't feel, except if it's like turn off transformations, which even if it's like not that big of a deal if they're on.
I feel like we have not fully answered this person's question. And so I kind of want to return to that, where they're kind of thinking like, well, there are different rule sets, and how do you track the results for that? And I think, because I've tried to think about it a little bit, and I don't know if like you could give like some incentive or some leeway in considering players' results. Like you if you're a panel, you arbitrarily boost their results in your mind a little bit by having a crossover, so there's not people that are in isolated regions, because otherwise it's too hard to know. Like it's almost like, well, we can't even rank them because we don't know how they do versus other people, or we have to have people go to them, right? So having some way to incentivize crossover, and it doesn't even have to be through rankings. There could be other ways to do it, like there's a carpool fund where whoever comes from farthest away, you pay for their gas or whatever. There's like things you can do as TOs or communities that you could help with this. And because I'm just thinking more on the local level, if this is a top 100 issue, this is very different. Like, because there's going to be so much crossover between players at different events, and we would need, I think, standardization primarily on wobbling to help with that. Because otherwise I think results could be kind of different. I don't think Frozen Stadium, maybe it swings some, but I don't know if it like moves people up like, 10 ranking spots or not.
Right.
So with wobbling, I think it's a different case, just because it, changes some matchups to a very high degree, particularly at certain levels of play. So, that's kind of where I'm at. And I don't really know if I can, because I really don't know if I want to just, like, there are advantages to standardization, there are advantages to experimentation, at the national, regional, and local levels. So I don't really want to say that I necessarily prefer one. I'm glad we have something more standardized that people like, but I also like that, especially locals can experiment more. So I hesitate to say that, one TO who is larger should simply eat the other and make them to the rule set, but I'm not sure. So that's kind of where I'm at, and I hopefully that kind of answers Cnut's question a little better.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think it did. Again, I just at the end of the day, I just want one rule set. I want to know if I have to ban FD in the best of 3 or not. Like, I hate going somewhere and it's like you don't know the rule set and you're like, okay, it's like, frick, what am I doing? Because like I don't know, not every character, but like some characters obviously change up their stage select with FD as a starter or a counter pick, and obviously Ice Climbers players are gonna have a complete they're gonna have a fish out of water moment no matter what.
Yeah, and
so
I think that's something you just have to look that up beforehand.
And it sucks that you have to look it up.
That's on players,
dude.
but I don't think it's the hardest thing.
My favorite instance of this, so this is kind of grimy, but Vish and Bladewise, when they used to team a lot at majors, there was an Apex where they were fighting, they were playing a very strong East Coast team. And it went to game 3, and this was at Apex, I think 2014 or 2015, 2014, I think it was. And in the rule set, it said that Congo Jungle was a counter pick in doubles. And so the opposing team didn't ban Congo Jungle. And they're like, well, we're going to Congo Jungle. They're like, what do you mean you're going to Congo Jungle? They're like, it's in the rule set. And they took them to Congo Jungle and they destroyed them on Congo Jungle because Peach Falcon's broken there. It's really funny. Like, it's super grimy, but I was like, well, they're my boys. So I'm like, all right, yeah, good shit.
Okay,
I played on a rule set level.
If the East Coast team did that, then it would be treason.
Precisely. Yes, precisely.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But
Treason's the wrong word. Well, yeah, sure, treason.
But thank you, Cnut, for your question. I hope we were able to get some good discussion on that.
I'm 100% with you. We need a standardized rule set.
Yeah,
and that's why right here today we're forming it. The Coalition, Toph, and PP are the new rule set guys. And Tyler Swift, because we need a third person to tie break when we disagree.
If I just have one person to complain to, or one body, that'd be great.
Yeah,
perfect. We've nailed it.
We'll get Zain on. We can do that.
Hell yeah.
Sure.
I've got good opinions on things.
True. Cnut, you got any shout outs for us on your way out today?
Yeah, huge shout outs to Minnesota Melee, especially McNutty for getting into that. Hope you McNutty's sick. I hope you crack top 10 on MNPR this year, dude. Shout outs to Rat City. Those guys are grimy, but they're my boys. Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on, and thanks for indulging me in my dumb question.
Fine.
Wasn't
question.
dumb. Great.
Have a great rest of your day, Cnut.
You guys too. Bye.
I used to love when teachers would say, there's no such thing as stupid questions.
Oh dear.
I'm like, thank you, because I'm about to challenge that belief.
Perfect. And unrelated news, I think we have another caller.
Ooh.
Mono, what's up? Where are you calling in from? What's your question for us today?
Hey guys, I'm calling in from Ontario, Canada.
I love Ontario. Shouts Ontario.
Great scene.
6.
So my question is mostly for Tyler.
Dope.
But I'd really love to hear Toph and PP's take on it also.
We'll chime in after Tyler.
As one of the few or like only players who's brought, a really common top tier and a really uncommon mid tier to like the top level of play. How do you think that, your character choice is factored into your relationship with other members of the community and, with improvement in general? Do you think that winning and improving was easier or harder with Fox or Pikachu? And do you think that people have treated you differently and your wins differently as a Pikachu or Fox main?
A lot to unpack, Mr. Monotheon.
Hey,
but yeah,
Nice question.
I got you.
just
It's a
take
good
it how you
question.
feel it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I do get like, it's weird because it's like my Fox, like when I played HBox at Galint, like no one really knew that like I had a good Fox. Like I don't really blame them. Like it's just for like Puff and like Peach and Ices. So I guess it did come as like a shock to most people because at first like people would see like, oh, like Pikachu just beat a bunch of Marths. Like that matchup is like 7-3, which it's not. Marth wins. But everybody would like
take on that.
Yeah, everybody would like discredit me. More on that later, but like everybody would like, I would feel like discredited when people would like try and be like, oh, like you don't like people just don't really know the matchup. Like you're just playing this whack character. But as I play Fox, and then it's just like you have nothing to say. Like this is my secondary Fox. Like this is Hungry Box. Like I just won. Like you have nothing to say. Like I prepped so hard for this. Like I worked for this. Like just shut up. But it definitely is like, especially at first, like now like people know I'm good, but like at first when I was like really, really unknown, people would definitely be like, oh, this is just like a cheesy little like gimmicky, like when I was like in high school, like I wouldn't want to go to locals because like people would not like me at the locals because like there's just some little kid cheesing people with Pikachu, and I was really cheesy with Pikachu back then. But I don't know, it's like people hate you at first and then they just realize it's dumb, or like you get better and then people treat you better. But the big one for me is it's like people just did not want to play me at all. So like improving is really difficult. Like before I got all these wins, like people would just like not like they just say it's like, oh, not a good use of their time. Like
So,
like
can I ask something really quickly, Tyler?
Yeah, go for it.
Did playing with Zain regularly help you get over that hump then, or did you have to get a lot of wins and respect before Zain would play with you in the first place?
Zain is not like the, oh, I'll only play you if you're good. He's always just the nicest. Like he'll play most people, honestly. And I remember the first time I asked him to play, it was just because I met him like a couple times at locals, and he was playing against like our other friends like secondary Pikachu, and I was like, hey, I'll play sometime. This was like before I was even like PR'd in MDVA. And then like, yeah, he played me, and then I got destroyed. But as more time went on, like I just got a lot better, and he would just play me more. And I credit Zain a lot for like my success, because like I mean, if you play against like the best player in the world for like 4 hours a day straight for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, so right after he lost to Axe, it was just like
Non-stop.
every day, like
I remember those streams.
Yeah, and that's like where I really, really like put the pedal to the metal. But like other than Zain, like people didn't want to play me. Like the Melee Online, like I have so many screenshots. I'd always joke about it. I have so many of just people like at here, and it's just like I know I'd have to be that guy that's like I don't want to be that guy, but I'm gonna at you immediately, like 20 seconds after you did add here, and then still ghost me. And then like I literally have people DM me like yeah, I think playing you, like no offense, is like a waste of my time. Like I've had people tell me that, and it's just like shut up.
That's intense.
It is.
That's intense.
Yeah, and it's so annoying, but like improving is so much like. But I like a lot of the way like I improve is I'm a very big like solo labber and like solo practicer. So like then I'm just like doing all this stuff that like all the optimal Pikachu stuff that like nobody really knows, like even Axe isn't doing. Like I'm trying to innovate all this stuff, and then people don't know it, and then they're just like, oh, you beat me because I didn't know the matchup. I'm like, well, where were you when I asked you to play 6 times last week? Like,
you would know the matchup if you played.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, but yeah, and I, like that's honestly most of it. Now that I'm like better, people are like, oh, your Pikachu's so cool. It's like, oh, thanks. It's
Yep.
Like, where were you like 7 months ago when I needed Sheik practice? Like, but it's a lot of that, and it sucks. But I don't know. I'm just kind of like trying to like my opinion of me is the only one that really matters. So like that's just kind of how I try and do it. And overall, like I made it sound bad, but more often than not, like people like me. Like everyone loves. I like, oh, he plays the cool mid tier. Yeah. Like I got that whole shtick. You know, like I know what it is. So yeah, It's weird. It's definitely like really hit or miss with certain people. It's really just like I don't know. It's just Melee is just so weird. People are weird. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think having a good Fox is just like my like FU to everybody who says that like I'm carried by
When
people
did
not
you pick
knowing
up
the matchup.
Fox?
I remember it was at I think it was the last SmashCon before quarantine. I lost to Leighton, and I was like, I am done with it. I lost like a few other puffs before that. I was like, I'm done with this. Like, I gotta learn Fox.
Yeah.
This is bad. And then I just started learning Fox from there on out. And yeah, Fox is just for floaties. It's like Peach Puff, Ices, and Yoshi, since I don't like Pikachu Yoshi.
OKP, when I was talking to OKP, he was saying the same thing. He goes Fox for like Peach and characters like that.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, I think Peach is like doable for Pikachu, but it's still like I think like my skill level is like the cutoff for it's like you gotta really go just like a different character. That's a pretty bad matchup. But I work on my Fox like almost as much as I work on my Pikachu. I work on it a lot. So I think it shows too.
Yeah. I think it's a good. I've always theorized that I think it's a good, duo of characters because
I think it is. They play
on the
pretty
flip side,
similar.
for like Marth, like a lot of Fox players.
I
don't
love fighting
hate
Marth.
and then you've got Pikachu for Marth. So
yeah. It's like I think right now, like I can't see myself ever switching to Fox for another matchup. Like, because I think the next worst matchup after Peach Puff Ices is Fox itself, and I don't think Pikachu
Right.
Fox is that bad to warrant a switch. So it's like everything else is after that's better. So I just play Pikachu for the rest.
yeah, that makes sense.
Question: Why? I think this is a dilemma for a lot of mid-tier, low-tier players that pick up a top tier. Do you ever have the thought, the feeling gnawing in the back of your mind? Well, I could just go Fox, and I could have so many more winning matchups. Then I could do better in so many matchups. Why would I play Pikachu? And I wouldn't have to split my time between two characters. Do you ever have that thought?
Yeah, but I think I'm way too far in deep with Pikachu, and I don't know, it would just be too sad to see him go. I love my Pikachu. Like that's like a big one, but also it's like my Pikachu is just so good that it's like, why wouldn't I play this character? I mean, it's like, yeah, like I'm playing a worse character, but like people don't know the matchup. It's like you still don't know that. Like you're not as comfortable against Pikachu as you are against like a Fox Ditto. So like I play a top level Fox. I'm like, all right, well, even if they do know the Pikachu matchup, I've still played Pikachu Fox like 10 times, at least 10 times more than they have, like 100 times if that.
Yeah.
So it's like, why wouldn't I just go with like the more obscure character? Like I've kind of already figured out how to get around all like the really, really bad. Like I've kind of gotten over the hump already, like the mid-tier hump, so to say. And I think Pikachu has a lot of potential as a character that like nobody has ever shown. And I think I'm kind of showing like signs of that. So yeah, I just that's kind of what I remind myself, and I'm like, oh, I could just go Fox, and I'm like, nah.
Cool.
A good answer. I think it's good to like have that as like a motivating factor too. Where like it's cool to like have a thought where it's not just like about like these are the results I want to have. It's also about like this is what I want to showcase. This is what I want to. This is what I
it's
want
like part
to...
of me. This is like what I'm doing. This is like
like
you're
your
the
legacy.
character you main is Melee to you, So
Yeah.
it's like that's how I learned Melee. I've been doing it for so many years. I'm not just gonna drop it all. Like I be like Fox is better than Pikachu. I think on paper, yes, Fox does better against Marth than Pikachu. I'm gonna say it, but
Right.
I'm not gonna really lose to many Marths because like they don't know the matchup. It's like that's another thing where it's like not knowing the matchup is like another like big thing that kind of makes up for him being so bad in a lot of scenarios. There are pros and cons.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's from a practicality standpoint. It's just like, yes, you could say that in theory, it's one way or the other, but like, yeah, I mean, I think the most compelling thing is, yeah, you just like, you're like leaving a mark, right? It's like you're leaving a mark on the Melee scene, and you're just especially if you feel like you're just scratching the surface with Pikachu, like if you switch and you just become a Fox player, it's like, obviously, it's just a different, it's just gonna be different.
Everything's different. Like I don't really enjoy Fox Dittos. I think they're really boring, and I think they're really lame. I'm not that good at them, but that's probably why I think that I don't like playing them. So why would I play them? You know, it's
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, I'm doing this because I enjoy it. You know, like if I want to play melee, just never play again tomorrow. It's throw my box out the window. But no, I do it for my enjoyment, and it's like my whole melee identity is like a lot of it's just centered around this character that I've been doing so much with him. Like I have so much untapped potential with that character that like it makes that even stronger than Fox because it's like they don't know what I'm bringing to the table a lot of the time in terms of like what I'm gonna do for a matchup. Like, yeah, I think it's just too. Pikachu's not bad enough of a character to warrant a complete switch for me. Is the gist of it.
It's fair to me. Yeah, I mean, good defense. I think Pikachu's everywhere. I don't know how many of them there are, but maybe there are 20 of them. I hope they were happy to hear that. And Mono, I hope that answers your question sufficiently, and I appreciate you calling in.
No, that was a great answer. It's thanks for having me, guys. It's been a blast. Really insightful.
Absolutely.
You got any shout outs for us on your way out today?
Shout outs to Tyler Swift. I'm really looking forward to seeing that Summit campaign.
Heck yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
Starting early.
All
right, you have a good one, Mono.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
See ya.
See ya.
Take care.
Got a question focused on Tyler. Love to see it.
Yeah.
And we got one more coming through here. Let's see. Let's see what we're going to be asked now. Looks like Tricolour calling in. And where are you calling in from? What's your question for us today?
Hi, I'm calling in from Boulder, Colorado, and so
I love Boulder. Shout outs.
so I love Boulder. So my question is related to that. So one of the most unique things. So I've lived in Colorado for all my life. One of the most unique things about the region is that we're really far from a lot of other regions that are filled with good players. So we're very isolated in that nature. And what happens because of that is a lot of our top talent gets really good, but it's hard for them to travel. Maybe our top 3 will go to Genesis and then maybe one other tournament through the year. So in the online era, I saw a lot of our players do a lot of crazy upsets during all the online majors that happened.
You want to shout them out?
So, yeah. So, notable names like Fizz, Secrets, Zealot, so many good ones. But what the online era showed us is that these guys are great and they're talented. So now with things returning to more in-person Melee and the last online majors fading away, I thought it would be interesting if there would be something of an online series to help players like this who live in more isolated regions. Maybe like there could be an online series where the top 3 players get flown out to an in-person regional or something like that. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Or what do you think would be possible if that happened ever?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I think we started talking about on this show probably 2 months, 3 months ago, something like that. And we were talking about how we don't really want to get rid of online entirely because of scenarios like this and scenarios in a lot of other even more isolated places, other countries that want to develop their scenes more, right? So I think we want the connection between the two, have players, Golden Guardians has a tourney fund. We can use that tourney fund to help players go to events from, they qualify, they have potential, they want to support their scene, want to showcase it, all that stuff. Well, they can do that. We want to have series to do that. I don't know if anyone is doing it currently. I'm not aware, but I mean, it's a wonderful idea. I think your scene, your question represents that perfectly. And that's really, I mean, I don't know if anyone could say this is a bad idea, we shouldn't do it. I don't know how you get to that point, but if there's any other perspective that you guys want to add in, please feel free.
I think we should do it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think we should. I think online majors were like really good for like that specifically, like showing a lot of like players who don't get the credit they deserve. Like I know about like Secrets, one of the players you mentioned earlier is a close friend of mine. That guy is insane. He's like easily like a top 100 level player. He's so good. He's cracked, and like nobody's ever heard of him. Like he doesn't enter too much, but like having like he always tells me he's like, yeah, like I'm 10 hours away from like the next region, and then like the other closest region is like another 12-hour drive, and that's like Arizona and Utah. So
Exactly.
So it's just, he's always telling me, he's like, yeah, I can't really go anywhere, and it's like, yeah, I think it's super important that like amazing players like that can get like shown to a lot of people and like get their chance, because a lot of times it is just kind of like a crapshoot. Like, where do you live? It's like, do you live around like a big metropolitan area or like around like a coincidentally good scene? Like, then you can get better. If you don't, then maybe you won't get any like recognition. But I think online was so good in like getting rid of that, because you had like Logan from like South Carolina and like Ben from Minnesota, like people from like J Salt, Louisiana, like unrepresented regions get like more exposure just for like how good they are as players, and it's just cool to see that. So I definitely think it's really good to have online majors still.
What are you thinking, Toph?
I think, yeah, I mean, I think there's almost a tie to the first question we had. I think not only just online majors, but like more online events and more different variety of greater variety. And I actually have something I'm clicking up on that note as we speak that I'm probably gonna be announcing pretty soon. But
okay, cool.
Yeah, I think that there's a big opportunity for the online to offline pipeline. And when you really think about it, we've never been in this position before as a community. We've never been in a position where we could really kind of funnel people from online to offline. And, I was talking about this with the Ultimate guys. Like, I was hanging out at our Ultimate Summit, and I was talking with a bunch of the top players, and they were so, like, honestly, like, jealous. Like, we were talking also, because I was like, they were saying, like, kind of just talking about, getting proper practice and stuff like that. First of all, it's funny because some of them were saying, like, apparently they have some sort of hack pack, and they were saying, like, it's crazy because they knew about Uncle Punch, but they didn't know about their own game's hack pack. And they were basically saying, like, the support that Melee has in terms of, like, our, first of all, training packs, but also, like, with Slippy and how you can literally boot up and get a game in, like, 10 seconds. I could literally, like, within 10 seconds, I could open up Slippy and just, like, be playing someone, which
Don't do it
crazy.
to them, Toph. Don't do it to them. They're not ready.
It's just crazy, right? And so, like the level of accessibility for like newcomers and seasoned players as well, I think it's at an all-time high, and I think there should absolutely continue to be online events that like where there's an express interest in showcasing strong players that might not have that shine at the top level, international level, but they're really, rising stars. They're really cool to watch. They're cool stories. By the way, this ties into that first question about grassroots again in another way, which is that, like, this is something I was talking with, someone who's heavily into esports, and we were talking about how, it's tough because for major esports orgs, a lot of the time when they look at picking up a player, they only want people that literally win tournaments, right? And there's only a very small amount of people that can actually win a major tournament. I'm talking about win a major tournament, right? Yeah. Like, even if you're top 15, top 20 in the world, if you're not winning majors, it's very hard to get that attention from the big esports teams. And so what can we do as, in to keep that grassroots spirit, tying into the community, the community voice from last week, like, to keep that grassroots spirit is like, well, if those big esports teams aren't going to highlight those players and propel them to the next level, that's something we can do from the inside. And I think that's something we're starting to do. And I think there's, I think we're doing a decent job already. But, I think we should continue to do it for sure. We should always be looking to leverage online for that because it's such a good opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we had more to say here besides, your suggestion is good. We should just do it. I don't know. I mean, Toph said
I'm doing it. I'm literally doing it.
Yeah, Toph said he's going to save Colorado himself. So we'll let Toph do it.
That's awesome.
You'll see. Yeah. If there was, you know what? I have a question for you while I have you. If there was one Colorado player right now that you would want to see kind of get their shine on a bigger scale or what have you, are there any Colorado players you think would be?
Absolutely. Like, the aforementioned Fizz Zealot secrets are all awesome. But, some of the other people who maybe aren't on the same level, but might be soon, are people like Fishbait, Polier, DSJ, Goomy. Just so many good players who are getting good better, but it's hard for them to get out of the bubble and show up to tournaments.
Right. Okay.
Cool. Well, we got some names.
And I love Colorado.
Again, Toph saving Colorado, so you can tweet it. If you're from Colorado, please tweet at Toph. He will save your scene himself personally. So thank you, Toph.
No problem.
Well,
Dan,
when he's
Dan in the
not,
office.
yeah, when he's not working on the rule set, he will be sure to save Colorado. So
Yeah.
busy man, but he gets it done. Tricolour, thank you so much for calling in with the question. I think it's a wonderful one, and I hope we can do things to help out your scene and a lot of other scenes.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, you got any shout outs for us on your way out?
Yeah, totally. Completely no shame shout out to myself and my business, Trailhead Keyboards. So I do frame one mods, upgrades, customizations, and then also like custom mechanical keyboards. I saw you have one, Toph. It looks very nice. You can follow me on Twitter at TrailheadHID or visit my website at trailhead.gg. And then a secondary shout out to all of Colorado Melee, all the aforementioned names, and everyone else here. You guys are all awesome.
Nice. Let's go. Well, thank you.
Trailhead. Trailhead.gg.
Right.
There it is.
I might have to check y'all out. Check you out.
Toph's on it. But yeah, thank you again, Tricolour.
Yeah, thanks guys for having me.
Take care.
Absolutely.
All right. That was our last caller. If I had, let's see. I think Toph's still going to be looking over that for a moment. So one more question before we kind of ask you for the community voice, Tyler Swift. I'm curious about. So, I mean, there's a couple things. I mean, we went over the tag already, but the Pikachu question I think is such an interesting one because the character is in such a strange spot where he's like pretty good, but he still has some tough matchups. Like you said, you really felt like you needed a Fox. But it's kind of interesting. You're coming up at a time where there are some other Pikachus that are also making waves. OKP and was referenced earlier, and I think Kimchi was for a while, and so on. I think there's anher one that I regrettably
Boy Clash.
Sure, and so I'm kind of thinking, but there's also Axe. That's it's way up there. He's been the only Pikachu. And you mentioned you were doing things that Axe didn't know about before. So I guess my question is something like, because I'm kind of curious, do the Pikachus talk? Is there rivalry among the Pikachu? Do you think that you are sicker than all of them? Do you feel like you want to overthrow Axe eventually? Like I'm kind of curious. What I feel like there are things in there because it's such a unique, very small group of people, and it's been a character in a very unique spot for a while. Tell me what's going on here. I'm a little curious, Tyler Swift.
This is definitely some unique things, but
Yeah,
I think with me, there's like the Pikachu Discord, but I don't know. I haven't never really spent too much time in there personally because I feel like they just go over like a lot of like really niche stuff, and it's just not very practical. And I don't know. Like I've had not the best things happen, to put it lightly.
I see.
But
Discords have that kind of weird vibe sometimes.
Yeah, so not gonna call anybody out, but
Okay.
yeah, so like most of all the Pikachu stuff is like on my own because like I don't know, I was trying to think of a way to say this, but I know I'd probably come up, but
oh dear. Well, if you don't want to talk about it, we don't have to.
No. The Pikachu thing. It's I just feel like a lot of the way that like people play like mid tiers in general is it's like I guess like the overall is like quote unquote like cheesier, and I think it's really really easy to like fall into like a trap of like doing things that are like working against 98% of people because they don't really know it doesn't work. And it's really easy to fall into that trap, and I think like most other mid tiers fall into that trap unless they're really really like on top of it. And I think that's like where I come in is like I'm very labbed out. I'm very like big on analysis. Like I'm in Uncle Punch like almost as much as I'm in like Slippy. Like I'm like really really big on that stuff, and I'm always like labbing, trying to think of new things. So like, say if there's like some option that like also I'm playing against like Moki and like Zain now, and they're like learning the matchup to a point where it's like, okay, am I really gonna watch Axe like do this? Like, does Axe know what to do against this? So like I feel like it forced me to like figure a lot of different things out that like none of the other Pikachus really do. Like I don't know, I think it's like pretty clear if you watch me. Like I don't want to sound like arrogant or anything, but like I think like I play like very very unique compared to all the other Pikachus. Like I'll like I down air a lot, like up tilt a lot, like back air. Like I try and make use of like his entire kit. And and like literally like I try and find every single little like optimization, little option that I can, and I go crazy. Like I try and do that as much as I really can, and I think mid tiers or like Pikachu specifically like doesn't really attract players like that because like I kind of have like this spacey mindset, you know, like where it's like picking up Fox made sense for me because it's like, okay, I could lab this out, I could practice it, like I could study. But none of the other mid tiers are really like that. If you're more like that, you're more prone to playing like a high tier. So then that comes in with like you play Pikachu, it's like, okay, like it's a lot of just like no one's really helping me because like no, like I go to a local, I lose. Like, hey, how do I get better at this matchup? It's like, I don't know, you play a bad character. It's like, okay, I really like helped me like get back to the drawing board like on my own and just be like really independent. And that's what like I take a lot of pride in with like the Pikachu stuff is it's like I just do a lot of things that are just like I think I play like really honest for like a mid tier. Like that's what most people like that's what I've been told. Like my camera frozen?
It
Oh,
was.
but,
No, it's good.
but yeah, I think I just play like really honest and I just try and like more so outplay like the player and just like if I cheese somebody, like go for something that I know that doesn't work, I get like annoyed. Like I'm just like, oh, like that shouldn't have worked, god damn it. And then like I got a lesson from like Chef Rockman. He was like, yeah, you play too honest, you have to like cheese people more. So like I'm kind of like the other side of the coin from I feel like what I try to avoid. So I kind of got to meet in the middle, but I feel like that's the biggest thing is just like really putting in the work to figure out what is actually good and what's like not good, and then putting in more work to figure out like which parts of his kit can do what, like where, and like really just like experimenting like a ton. And I think that's like my biggest like thing to like Pikachu. And yeah. And with Fox, it's like the opposite. It's just like I just ask anybody. I'm like, how do I beat Puff? They're like, like I asked my friend Justice, I was like, how do I beat Hungry
They've
Fox?
got so much to say.
I'll give you an entire like game plan. I was like, okay. And I just sat there, I just worked on the matchup and yeah, but
yeah.
But sorry to ramble, but I think that's like a lot of it is a lot of like the people like, oh, I don't know the matchup. Cause it's like like a lot of times people think the matchup's like, oh, you just kind of camp and Pikachu nares at you, and then you punish him for that. And that's not really like how like you can do other things, you know? Like Axel kind of nares a lot. I think the way he plays is like he just does a lot of nair pressure. So all the other Pikachu's like, I guess I'll just nair people a lot. I'm like, Pikachu has other moves than nair. So yeah.
That's fair. I mean, just to tack on to that just slightly, I like Pikachu's up tilt. I haven't found a good use for it a lot of times, but when I hit it, I always feel like, man, this is a funny little move that I feel like should do things. So
it's really good. It's really good.
I saw you use it in was it your Galent run? That was your big one?
I probably used it at some point there, yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw it during that, and I was like, oh, yay, this is the move. So personally, for me, I liked that part.
I always felt that way about Luigi's up tilt. I felt like Luigi should use that move more.
Yeah, that's fair. Ever since the that video from like 10 years ago from
Armada, I know. Yeah, everyone know. Yeah, Armada did more up tilts in that combo than I've seen out of the rest of the Luigi's for my entire life.
Probably so. Yeah. But yeah, so thank you for your take on that, Tyler. I think we can kind of go from there, and I think this might relate. I don't remember, but what's your community voice question? What do you want the people to answer coming into Radio Melee for next week? What do you want to leave them with?
Probably like I said, like I try and do like really just push my character, and that's like the thing that helps me the most. Like who are some other like mid tiers that like the community likes that like pushes their character a lot, you know? That like you feel that like are really pushing like a Yoshi or like a Samus or an Icy. Like personally I'd say like Slug does a lot of that stuff. I like Slug a lot. Frostbite, he's the two great Icy players, you know? They're like pushing the character a lot, doing some crazy stuff that like I've never seen, even though the game's been out for so long. And that's like what I try and do with Pikachu. So I'm just curious if there's like more people out there like that people really like.
Yeah, so let us know what you guys who you guys want to shout out, which mid tiers that are really pushing their characters, doing things that you haven't seen before. Love to hear it.
I can't wait for some Falcon player to come out and be like S2J. It's my favorite mid tier hero.
Yeah, well, good luck to them. But yeah, I guess that's about all we got for you today, Tyler Swift. Thank you so much for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me on. It was great.
It's a pleasure.
All right. Well, Toph, you brought us in, so I'll take us out. Thank you guys so much for joining us here on Radio Melee. Have a good week. We'll see you next week. This is Radio Melee signing out.